All right, welcome everyone. Welcome back to Monkey Craft, and thank you for joining me on my second chapter of my journey, where I create my print farm business, what I'm calling my print shack. In the first video of the series, which you can go back and watch, I took this bare shed that I purchased and turned it into the beginnings of my print shack. Okay, so in this video, we're going to outfit the print shack with all the necessary items so I can start the business. The first item is this table that you see here in front of me. Well, it didn't start like this, so let's go back and I'll show you how I got to where I am today. Okay, as you can see, I started with 2 sheets of MDF, 4x8 sheets. They're sitting on the floor with a section of sacrificial foam underneath. First step was that I glued the 2 panels together, and then I screwed the panel with a series of screws. You can see there's a pattern of them, and that locked it down to do the gluing process. Once the glue had dried, I then installed a set of these legs. Right here, I got these legs. They're called packing table legs, and I got them from Uline. You simply screw the series of legs to the bottom of the table to secure them. After that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip the table up so you can get a view of how it looks today. So if you remember, I made the top out of 2 sheets of MDF that were glued and screwed. I then added a small piece of fairing strip all the way around the outside that'll act like a buffer or protector for the edge of the table to protect it. And then coming up here, probably later in this video, I'm going to put a sealer. I'll probably put 3 coats of clear sealer on the top surface and on the edge of the table to seal it. Now, get a better look at those legs. You can see they're attached on the bottom and screwed back when the table was laying on its top. And you can see the legs, these legs here, they are adjustable. You can move it up and down. Currently I have it at the 37 inch height. And then I've also installed these casters. There's a simple plate that bolted into existing holes. And when I slide these casters on, if I can grab it just right, slide these casters on, you drop the pin in, come on pin, it then locks them in place, and I can now lift it up. And with the casters on all 4 of the legs, I can easily reposition the table anywhere I need it inside the print shack. Okay, before we go on, I mentioned earlier how we installed the air conditioner that's remotely controlled by this controller. It's a smart LG air conditioner. I can control it from an app on my phone, and then I have a remote for the little fan that we put in on the roof, or on the ceiling, I should say. That's right up there. Another great little product. I love this little fan. It basically just screws in like a light bulb into an existing socket. To the right, you can see the power drop that isn't connected yet. That's going to power the overhead lighting we're going to get onto a little bit later. But while we're talking about the air conditioner, I'm going to show you my little gauge here, and it's got 4 different areas. This is the area that it's currently in. It's at 72 degrees, which is fine, but I'm at 60% humidity. And for this gauge that I have, I've got 3 sensors. There's one built into the main unit, and then 2 remote sensors, like the one here. And my plan is to put the head unit back over by the switch over here, up here. So I'll have a reading coming from there. And then once I get the racks in, the big racks in over here, I'll put 1 sensor there and 1 sensor in that corner. So I'll be able to get accurate, not only temperature readings, but more importantly, humidity. Because even though I have the air conditioner in here and it's 72 in here, 72, 71, I live in South Florida. And as you can see, even with the air conditioning running for weeks, while I'm working in here, it's still at 60%. And 60% is going to be too high because the 3D printing filament absorbs moisture. And I really want to get it down to about somewhere in the 30s inside the print shack all the time. Well, if the air conditioner isn't going to do it, then I'm going to need to install a dehumidifier, and that's going to go somewhere over in this corner here. It's on order, and the dehumidifier will have the drain run outside, so it'll automatically drain outside, and that should pull this space down to hopefully somewhere in the 30s with it running. Okay. Now I mentioned to you that there's going to be lights, overhead lighting installed. We're going to show you that in a little while. And it installs in these clips that are on the ceiling tray. That when I installed the ceiling tray, I did it ahead of time, so I did less time on the ladder, right? But we're going to be installing these lights right here. Got them on eBay. I love these things. They're 4 foot long. I think they're still in the box. You won't be able to see them. I'll show you that stuff later. They're 4 foot long sections, and there's going to be 6 of them up there. So you'll have one running up here, another one running down, and another one running here. So in other words, this side will be one connection, the left side, and the right side will be another. So that'll give me ample lighting in the print shack. And one of the reasons that I'm separating it into 2 different sides, a right and a left, if you will, is that when I'm standing back over here and making videos, it's always better if you can have more light on one side than the other. So I can essentially turn one side of the lighting off, and the lighting in the room would be coming from, let's say, my left, which will put a shadow across my face, and that gives you more depth in your videos. Something we'll talk about more as things move on, right? So the next step will be to install the commercial shelving units, and they're going to go, as we talked earlier, along this back wall, right where those 4 outlets are already pre-installed, okay? So let's get to installing the racks. So these are the storage units that I've purchased. I picked them up at Lowe's. They're Cobalt heavy-duty storage units, and they're approximately 7 feet long and 7 feet high. So the 2 racks are going to do a good job of filling up that total space in the print shack. And it'll give me storage, I'm hoping, of up to 16 printers if needed. Let's get started on the installation. All right, well, I got the first shelf in. I thought I'd take a break and share with you this progress and go over a few things with you. Like I said, these are the Lowell's Cobalt heavy-duty bolt-together shelves. When I say bolt together, I mean bolt together. Yeah, yes, the rails themselves get pounded down in, but all the supports are bolted in. Makes for a much more rigid unit. I really like these Cobalt shelves a lot. Now, if you notice, I've got the wire mesh that comes with them on the shelves on the lower shelf and the upper shelf for storage. But on the two shelves that are going to have the printers on them, that's going to be either plywood, haven't decided yet, or the same 3/4 inch MDF sheet, the stuff I use for the top of the table, one or the other. That's what I'm going to use on those shelves where the printers sit. Now, if you notice, there's two different spacings between the upper shelf. It looks like a larger spacing, because it is, than on the lower shelf. And that's on purpose. I spent a lot of time thinking about it and probably overthought it. But anyway, you know, I wanted to try to get the spacing right as I could up front. And so basically what I came up with was a larger spacing on top to incorporate the larger printers. If you notice, a lot of the larger printers coming out, the H2D or K2 Plus or the XL, they're all larger printers. And I don't know how much of that I need or not, but I've tried to adjust the top rack to hold larger printers, and then the lower rack is better suited for the smaller printers like the X1 Carbon or the Gravity Carbon or A1 Mini or something like that, right? So that's sort of the plan that I decided to go with, at least for now, and obviously I can adjust them. Now I have spaced the units out about, I don't know, 1.5 inches from the wall. You got to leave some space because you're going to have to run your cords between the rack and the wall in order to get down to your outlets. And then I'm also going to secure the rack to the wall at the top in about 3 spots along the top. Same thing on the rack. It's going to be over here. And they'll be spaced out about 1.5 inches with like a lag bolt going into the studs. That way they'll be, the printers won't be able to, these are heavy shelves, they weigh 140 pounds a piece. But that way the vibration will be more isolated when it's fixed securely to the wall. Well, that's what I got for now. Let me go ahead and get the other rack in, and then I'll be back. Talk to you more later. Well, I now have both the storage racks in. The only thing left to do with those is to purchase the wood to go on the racks where the printers will go. And when I go to Home Depot, I also got to get some lag bolts to secure them to the wall. Other than that, they're nearly complete. But I ended up with some excess material. I ended up with these two center rails because I didn't need them here, right? They would have went here, but you can actually build off the first rack to build the second rack, save yourself some space, and it actually ties it all together a little tighter. And I ended up with 4 of these metal wire rack shelves. Like you see that I use only 2 of them, 2 on the bottom and then 2 on the top. I'm debating, I'm kicking around the idea of trying to repurpose them to reuse on the lower part of the shelf. I was going to buy plywood for it, but now I'm wondering if I can repurpose these racks to do it. They're not exactly the right size. They're a little short, but I'm going to give it some thought, see what I can get worked out. You'll see how it goes. Okay, so a quick update on the table. I've gone ahead and put 4 coats of that shellac on the table surface. Let me show you what I used here actually. I use this product right here, and it'll seal it. And just in case I spill something out, the water or pop or something doesn't seep into the MDF top and ruin it. And I went ahead and I worked on the lower unit, the storage portion of the table. I talked about trying to use the rack, but I was only able to use the rack, leftover rack for the front as the backstop. It was just too flexible for the main surface, so I went with 3/4 inch plywood. But I was able to use it as the backstop on the front side. I think it came out real well. Okay? Well, that's what I got for now. Now it's on to lighting, I think. See you then. So these are the LED tube lights that I got at Amazon. Again, there'll be a link down below. I guess that's Barina LED T5. Get them in a kit. Kit comes with a whole bunch of pieces, different electrical connectors, so you can connect them. Some that have switches built in. Just plug it into the wall. And there's a whole bunch of different like adapters for hooking them different ways, and long connectors to connect them end to end. And that's basically what you do. They're just a long tube light. In the end is the connector. And you just use these connectors that they provide you to plug into the end to daisy chain them, if you will, in the installation. They come with all the screws and everything to install them. Straight connectors if you just want to butt connect them together. Those little mounting brackets, that's all it takes, and some screws that you screw into the surface you want to mount them to. As I said earlier, I already got those screws, those little mounting plates up there. So all I have to do is really snap them into those mounting plates and then complete the wiring. So let me get to it. I'll come back as soon as I get the lights up and wired in. Okay, so I've been laying out the lights on the table here, getting ready to put them together and put them up. If you remember correctly, I told you previously my plan would be to have 2 8-foot sections like you see laid out here, and then there would be 2 more, 1 on each end, essentially something like this, right? So there would be a total of 6 up there. Well, that's not going to work out. Best laid plans didn't come true. So I'm going to go with the 2 8-foot longs, and we'll see how that works out. So in order to put them up, all I got to do is take the 4-foot sections, use this little joiner thing here, snaps into there, and then the light, this one joins them together. And then down on this end, plug this into here, and then this runs around. There's a switch on it, And then this will plug in to the outlet I put in the ceiling. Let's get those up and let's take a look at them. Alright, so the lighting came out, well, pretty good I'd say. Looks like it's going to be plenty bright enough. Been nice to have the ones on the end, but that would have got all wrapped around the axle, so to speak, to get those up there. I think this is going to be fine. I can add more if I need to. I always have the light that's with the fan on, that goes on as well, providing additional light. So for now, that's going to cut it for the light. I've got others, I can put others up in the room if I need it, but I think that's going to be plenty of light. Let's move on. Let's see, let's get the racks tied into the wall. That'll be the next step. Alright, so I cut some 2x3 long enough to span the studs just to tie the top of the racks in place. Pretty basic, but all you need just to keep the rack from moving around. Right? It ain't moving. I'm moving the camera, but it ain't moving. It's shaking me, but not the wall. So they're tight. They're in place. Ready to go. Filament's been showing up. Got a bunch of it up there. Got some more over there. We got a bunch more in there to go up top. So what's next? Well, next I'm going to cut the wood. 3/4 inch plywood that's going to go on, replace this stuff, because this stuff is it's just too flimsy. No good. So that's got to go, and I'll cut some 3/4 inch plywood to go on the floor, 4 shelves that the printers are going to go on. 2 over on the right side and 2 over here for different size printers, as I discussed earlier. The taller printer will go where that box is. The lower unit can still accommodate like a Carbon or a Family Labs X series, both with AMSs or whatever. Same thing over here. So we got room for expansion. Over here, this came in. I got to work on this real soon. Get this set up. That's the dryer, the filament dryer. What's in this box from Amazon? Oh yeah, this is the dehumidifier. We'll get that set up here real soon. Getting closer. Let's move on to the next step. Get that wood for the racks cut and in place. Alright guys, that's going to put a wrap on this video. But if you haven't already, please like and subscribe below. That way you'll be notified when the next chapter comes out. So you can continue following my journey of building my print shack, my 3D printing business. In the next video, we're going to be going over the installation of the filament dryer, the dehumidifier, some additional changes to the racks, and the filament storage, and pretty much everything else we need to do to finish outfitting the print shack. So join me on the next chapter in my story. Look forward to seeing you guys. Take it easy. Have a great day.